Hello, folks, and welcome to TV Talks, the show where I take a look at both the good and the bad of what television has to offer. It's finally here, folks, the grand finale of Wishlist Week 3. It's been quite a ride. We've had some really high points, some really low points, but it's all coming to a close now. I hope you enjoyed it, because I definitely got the most requests out of any year. And if your thing did not get picked, don't take that personally. I'm going to try to get to those suggestions someday. I've copied them down into a list. And hey, these things are easy to make because there's no script. So I'll probably be able to make these things pretty quickly. So, little backstory on this review. When someone suggested that I review a certain show that shall not be named, you know the one, the second one I reviewed, about a shack that contains certain kinds of nuts, I knew people were going to suggest this one. I knew it, so I added it to the list without anybody requesting it. But once that TV Talks came out, I got like 4, 5, 6 requests or something to do that one. So I was right. I saw it into the future. People wanted me to review Lazy Town. I'm not surprised in the slightest, especially given the fact that I said I was going to review it in that said video itself. But here it is. I'm making good on my promise and making good on your requests. So Lazy Town is a United Kingdom / Icelandic / United States co-production. In other words, all three of those countries or companies from said countries collaborating to make this show that was intended for a young demographic. When I say young, I don't mean like 10, 9-year-olds. I mean like young kids, little kids. So this is a little kids show. The first one I'll be covering on this show, and I don't think will be the last. Knowing what people will request, I'm sure they want me to sit through some really bad kids shows. But this show, I remember watching as a kid. Because ever since this thing became a meme, which I'll definitely have to talk about, all the memories of watching this started flooding back. Now, here's a little thing about me. As I am trying to get in the children's entertainment department, and I do mean like for, well, sort of younger kids, but I'm going to try to make my stuff appeal to people of all ages, along with Alfonso, who's tagging along for the ride. Anyways, I have a whole separate video where we're talking about that. Anyways, ever since decided that I wanted to be in this field, I have become extremely critical of children's shows because I want to take a look at what they're doing and seeing what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. Let me tell you, I've seen more shows that do way more wrong than they do right. Why? Because a lot of kids shows, especially in this day and age, want to treat kids like little idiots. They just want to show them a bunch of bright, shiny, flashy colors and just have them dance around on the screen while just saying like, be nice to people, don't do drugs, kids. That's basically all they amount to. There's no substance, there's no real educational value, there's nothing there for the kids or the adults that are forced to watch it. However, there are the occasional shows that come out that do have something that actually will nourish the minds of these children and will actually develop them into actual members of functioning society and can actually teach them something that they can use in their lives. Lazy Town is one of these. It doesn't just decide to show them a bunch of pretty shapes or shiny keys dangling in front of their face. It actually uses complex stories, actual stories I should say, too, because some of them don't even have that. Looking at you, Teletubbies. And also has clever writing to bring in the kids and make them keep watching. And yes, it does have a lot of bright, shiny objects, but it mostly uses that on the surface level, while it actually uses the brains that they have behind this to create an interesting story and also convey a good lesson. So that was a long intro. What is the show about? It's about this 8-year-old girl named Stephanie with very pink hair, who moves to this weird town with her uncle called Lazy Town. As you'd expect, the town is extremely lazy and does absolutely nothing, but with her and the combined help with this superhero named Sportacus, Sportacus, I see what you did there. They make Lazy Town unlazy, despite the fact that it's still called Lazy Town. But there's this creepy guy who lives in the bottom of the town named Robbie Rotten, who has garnered a lot of fame recently, who wants to bring Lazy Town back to the way it used to be and tries to get Sportacus out and bring the laziness back in. So, for a children's show, that definitely has a good enough premise, but to be fair, I've seen a lot of little kids shows that have good premises that decide to just go with the dancing, colorful shapes that I mentioned earlier. But, wow, I can tell they put a lot of work into this, let alone from the visuals, which, this is a little weird, but they have a combined mix of puppetry and live action people, which I always found confusing. Now, I can understand if, since Stephanie and Sportacus are not from Lazy Town, they're humans, and say like, oh, yeah, so the people from another world are the humans and the people Lazy Town are puppets. Well, no, that's not exactly true either, because Stephanie's uncle is a puppet, and Robbie Rotten, who lives in Lazy Town, is a human. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Everybody's a puppet except for like a few people, and they don't. I don't get it. Are the puppets just supposed to be real people in that universe, or like a different race, or I never got it, and I get it even less as an adult. But that's just a little nitpick. Now, as I am an adult, I'm definitely not in the target demographic for this show. But I can certainly say that when I have kids someday, I would be absolutely fine with them watching this show. It teaches them not only the simple lessons like be respectful to adults and be nice to people, learn to share. It also teaches them stuff like eat healthy, get active, run around, go outside, don't be Robbie Rotten, stuff like that. Which, especially in this day and age, man, I said that twice and this, I'm sounding really old. People really need to learn that. So yeah, people need Lazy Town more than ever. They put a lot of work into this. Not, like I've said, not just with the sets, which has a really good mix of green screen and practical effects. Sometimes it's a little hard to tell which is which. The puppets are very good. Although they do have a little bit of a godless stare in the eye, which is a little disturbing when you get too close, they have a lot of work put into it. It looks really solid, it looks really well crafted. You can tell someone put their heart and soul into making these props and puppets. And then there's the writing, which, yes, it is garnered towards kids, but I gotta admit, the stuff with the Robbie Rotten character is actually really, really funny. Like, there's an episode that I saw, the first one I saw for this rewatching at least, when he decides to dress up as Sportacus. All the stuff he tries to do when he's trying to prepare to be Sportacus, like getting exercise and stuff, so he's trying to exercise, and he's the lazy guy who can't do any of that, so he's failing at doing push-ups and all. And then it comes back later in the episode when he's running a race, and he's pretty much running it in slow motion because he's so bad at exercising. It's really funny. The guy who plays him, Stefan Karl, did an amazing job. He's basically a live-action cartoon, kind of like the live-action Grinch from the Grinch movie, but done, like, way better. Stefan Karl's basically like a Jim Carrey in this role. And he bounces off perfectly with Sportacus. It's definitely a very well thought out kids show. I definitely approve of it. And, of course, give it the Archibald seal of approval. But now we get to the memes. Now, for that other show about the Shack Full of Nuts, you all know that I absolutely hate that meme. Purely because I should say, I want that show to fade away and never see the light of day ever again. But as I actually admire the show, but granted, do not consider it something that I'd watch regularly, but I do think it is a good piece of work. What do I think of it? I like those memes a lot, but for different reason than everyone else does. Everyone thinks they're funny, silly, and wacky, which most of the ones I've seen are very funny, like I've said in the past. Especially, my favorite one, personally, is We Are Number One, but Stingy Claims Everything. That one is my favorite, and Alfonso's favorite, too. With We Are Number One replaced with Jack Black, with the Octagon being a close second. But I like it for different reasons than everyone else does. Yes, they're funny, yes, they're silly, yes, they're wacky, but I like the cause of these. Not what caused them, specifically, but what these memes stand for. For those who don't know, Stefan Karl, the actor of Robbie Rotten, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Like, very serious case, too. So then, the two actresses that played Stephanie took to GoFundMe and created a page to help him get out of his cancer and, get the treatment going. And then all of a sudden people started donating left and right and then creating these We Are Number One videos to, to promote the cause and to share the GoFundMe page around them. And then sooner or later, the Be a Pirate song, the Cake song, the Mine song, all of them just started getting roped into it. And then eventually the whole show itself. They all started getting roped into it because people were promoting the GoFundMe page. They wanted Stefan Karl to get better, and sure enough, it worked. They just passed the $100,000 mark. And this has only been here for like 2 months. I'm going to put a link in the description if you're interested. Please donate. I did. So please do. I know my main demographic doesn't really have a ton of money, but if you got any, I'd totally recommend doing it. These memes saved a man's life. That's how strong they are. And I will continue to support them until they become unpopular. But hopefully they can continue to get popular so Stefan can get better and get his treatment all done. Hey, he went into a coma, and then the money with these things helped get him out. That's gotta say something. So, yeah, that's what I have to say about Lazy Town. What? What else do you want? What is it? Guys, there's nothing else to say. What, do you want me to make a We Are Number One video, but it's the cast of Live and Reloaded singing? Fine, because it's Christmas. Here you go. We're number one, hey! We're number one. Now listen closely. Here's a little lesson in trickery. This is going down in history. If you wanna be a villain number one, you have to chase a superhero on the run. Just follow my moves and sneak around. Be careful not to make a sound. Don't touch that! We are number one, hey! We are number one. We are number one. Now look at this net that I just found. When I say go, be ready to throw. Go! Throw it at him, not me. Let's try something else. Now watch and learn. Here's the deal. He'll slip and slide on this banana peel. What are you doing? We are number one, hey! 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 We are number one, we are number one, we are number one, hey, hey! There, I hope you enjoyed that. You wouldn't believe how hard that was to edit. So, folks, that was Wishlist Week 3, but we're not quite done here as it turns out. There was one more suggestion that was made that I really, really wanted to do, but it doesn't meet the requirements of the TV Talks thing. If you look in the Wishlist Week 3 video, which it's evident a lot of you didn't watch that video, because you suggested things like the Three Stooges movie, which, as that is an actual movie, not something on TV, I can't do that. But there was one that prior to this rebrand would have been absolutely perfect for me to talk about. And, well, I'm going to make one exception and talk about it tomorrow. What is it? You'll just simply have to wait and see. Well, folks, this has been Wishlist Week for the most part. One more video, but thanks for voting, and don't worry, if your thing hasn't been chosen, I may get to it someday. I've got a lot of requests, so I've definitely got a lot of stuff to do. So, folks, see you tomorrow for that one last video, or at least one last TV talk of the year. Take care, everybody, and try to get out there and exercise. Please do it for Sporticus. Do it for Robbie Rotten. Only he wouldn't really like it, but do it for Stefan Karl. He supports it. Okay, goodbye.